Salutations, malefactors and gentle tubers. This is Stoplogic Motorsports coming back with our new project bike, the 1998 WR400. So you wonder, why would I trade a perfectly good bike that was freshly restored for something like this? Quite honestly, I'm the kind of guy that likes to have the journey just as much as the destination, if not a little more so than the destination. So when you're going out to purchase a new bike, if you don't have ample mechanical ability, I recommend that you probably bring a friend along who does. The first few things to look for when you're doing a used bike purchase is slop in the bearings, which there is none at the front wheel. Slop at the steering head, smooth movement, which all that's there. Slop at the rear bearing, up and down slop at the linkage. So you'll always have like about a ½ an inch or so thereabouts. That's perfectly normal. Whenever you have like an inch or so, then you have issues. And then as you lift, you wiggle it back and forth to see if you have bearing damage at the swing arm. So never just get sucked in by plastics. The next big thing you're going to want to look for is the shape of your rear suspension. This one's blown out, the bump stock's gone in it. So I don't actually know how to repair rear suspension. That's getting sent off. Front fork seals are blown. I can repair these. I might send them off. I'm still deciding on it. But you check to make sure the suspension is in good shape. If it's not, and you don't know how to work on it, or you don't know someone locally who you can source it out to, that should generally be your deal breaker right there. I'm not going to end up firing it up today because I'm actually kind of getting ready to head out of town for the holidays. But when you fire up a 4-stroke, you're going to listen for clicking and tapping over here. That'll let you know that you either have a cam chain failure or a tensioner failure. And you look for any sort of oil leaks. Now you'll see there's some moisture here, but that's because the float, I believe, is stuck a little bit on this, or the drain plug is partially out, so it's dripping gasoline onto that. I'll fix that here a bit later. You look for any sort of signs of weeping around any of the seals. One thing that's a nice thing to bring along is a little bit of baby powder. So there is a bit of oil leakage on the bottom. I might have to crack the cases, I might not. It really just depends. Might just be from the leftover gas. I pulled all this off and wasn't really deterred by it when I saw the bike before. Look for any sort of weepage around the water pump, around the clutch side, around the heads. I can see the idler and the wiring here have met a little bit of a melty end. So I'm going to need to re-secure these and fix that. Probably going to redo all these hoses. You'll notice they're a little bit dry rotted, a little bit swollen. And from there, you decide if it's a project that you feel comfortable taking on. Frayed wires on the wiring harness. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of love. I'm estimating probably about $750 to get this thing back up into fighting shape. Now, one other thing that probably should deter you. Now, before we get to that, you'll want to check how much compression the bike has. I've already kicked this thing through, so sometimes when you find a clapped out bike, you can push the Kickstarter through with your hand. That lets you know the top end's completely shot, or the valves are having issues. Check the coolant for any signs of oil in it, which coolant looks pretty pristine. And when you do a leak down test, which I'll do in another video, to figure out if there is any leaks in here and where exactly I should start, that's one of the places you check for leak down. Brakes and other disposable items like levers and plastics and stuff, that's not really an issue. Those are cheap repairs. But one thing to bear in mind is always pull the seat and see if you got an air filter. We ain't no Gaudian air filter in this one. You gotta let this dry out. Purchase another air filter. And it looks like the previous owner already did the YZF426 seat mod to make this thing run a bit slimmer. Let me tight fit when I need to do those screws later, but that's actually one thing that's really popular on these bikes. The stock tank is a bit wide, a bit unwieldy. So a lot of folks will like to get 2000, 2002, 2003 YZ400 tank and made it up to a seat and then kind of contour the seat. The Genji Beard has a great video on this. But yeah, this is the WR. So pretty much over the course of the next few months, you guys are not going to recognize this bike. So I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, I know it's a lot of work, but this is a good way, you know, once you start learning how to work on these, a good way to save a bit of cash. And it's always worth learning how to work on whatever you decide to ride. My father's rule when I used to race was, if you can't work on it, you're not allowed to race it. So we're going to make that a true statement here. So the plan is, after all the mechanicals are sussed out, and even if I have to crack cases and everything, you know, take it to that level, do the tires, all new plastics most likely, sandblast off or fix all of the paint that was left on here, chain sprockets, fix the suspension, clean up the engine, and we might even take this bike to the point of, you know, Cerakoting hubs and all sorts of other stuff. But we'll cross those bridges when we get there. But I am pretty excited about this. I think this is going to be a heck of a project. I think it's going to turn out really well once we're done with it.